state. The only one I probably don't have the guts for is school board, because you're on the line of fire. It's hard work. It's so important, and you're the unsung heroes of keeping it all together for our students and our school districts. And so I'm always grateful to people like Ed who step up and others. Assemblywoman Paula Kay has joined us. Paula, thank you for participating and your support for this important legislation. And our Superintendent, Amy Creedon, the school district, I want to thank you. It's an extraordinary district. You know, it has a phenomenal reputation, and that starts with leadership from all of you here, and I'm happy you could join us. Well, and Deborah Heps, the Chief Operating Officer of the BOCES here. But we're talking about something that I'm absolutely passionate about. I've been on a journey since probably a year and a half, almost 2 years now, to talk about the mental health challenges that our students are facing, young people are facing, unprecedented, and trying to figure out, are they experiencing higher levels of anxiety and depression and suicidal thoughts? Was it triggered by the pandemic and the isolation that they felt and that disconnect during really formative years in their lives, and many of them being denied the rituals of life, you know, the graduation from kindergarten, or, you know, middle school to high school, and high school graduations and proms. And so I think it had, you know, any adult who thinks they're over the pandemic, talk to young people who experience it. They're not over it yet. I just need everybody to right set on that one. But also, this tracks the rise over the last decade of frequent, you know, common use of cell phones in schools. Very few school districts stood up and said you can't do that, because it became really the norm. And it was hard. It would have been hard to stand up and say, well, we're the school that's going to do this, or the school board, or the superintendent, or even parents saying, you know, my child will not be the one with the cell phone. There's a lot of peer pressure at many, many levels, and I understand that. So it just kind of continued, and what happened paralleling that was the rise in addictive algorithms being promoted by social media companies. And that was all about 10 years ago. And so you can see a definite rise in addictive algorithms bombarding our students and their minds all day long. The trajectory of that with the rise in mental health problems, absolute direct correlation. And people are only now uncovering that fact, and it is very late for the current students who've been subjected to this for a long time, those who've already graduated, those who are older students. But I want to make sure we save the next generation of students, that, you know, the students who are with us today, it's going to be a tough adjustment for many of them who are used to it, the younger ones not so much, but it's going to be like breaking an addiction. You know, all of a sudden you've been smoking your whole life and people take the cigarettes away the next day. It is going to be hard. So I need people to acknowledge that, recognize that. Parents need to be on board with talking to their kids, and school districts pushing out the information that we've been creating to tell parents, you know, weaning techniques. One school superintendent said he's already starting with, you know, Mondays are entirely cell phone free in their house. He's actually says, you know, it's surprising. My teenagers started bringing out board games, and there were conversations at the breakfast table and the dinner table, and he goes, we haven't had that in a long time. And I realized what our own practices at home were doing to our children. And so I'm encouraging parents to, you know, be really focused on this. It's going to be hard for the kids. And for school districts, I can tell you right now, and the media should be aware, there's going to be disruptions. I mean, the first day, there's going to be confusion. You know, what do you mean we have to lock it up? Where do we lock it up? What do we have to do? So all the education you can do in advance is going to help, but there'll be some school districts that have started and say, well, there's a long line the first few days because they have to get people acclimated to it. So expect some disruption. Change is hard. It is hard. But as I did my research and studied these trends and talked to countless parents and students about what's happening in their lives, I know we're on the right path. And history will look back at us and say, it's a shame it took so long. And education policy is not normally my jurisdiction, but I'm leaning into it because I'm also a mom. And I see what has happened to our young people, and I just can't ignore the voices of those crying for help, including the student at a roundtable I did at the beginning of my journey, And she says, we just can't put these down. We can't be the only one. We'll be ostracized, and we won't know what's happening. They're gathering in the girls' room and talking about me, and I've got to know that. I got to know what they're saying about my clothes, and I want to be at the party on Friday or not. She said, I cannot do that. She says, you've got to save us from ourselves. You've got to stop this. And I was like, that's all I need to hear. That was a cry for help from students, and we will get through this adjustment, and our kids will be smarter because we're paying attention in class. Our poor teachers who are so frustrated with the competition with teaching math and competing with the TikTok dance video, it's hard. You're going to lose every time, I'm afraid. And so teachers are frustrated. Parents are seeing a change in their children that they don't understand, and we're going to help them understand this is for the better, despite your initial anxiety of having that disconnect from your child. You're used to that umbilical cord that has followed them from pregnancy all the way through school, and it's not going to be there. But the school districts are very thoughtful about making sure that parents know that they should have a way for parents to reach their students during the day and vice versa. There's a change in plans, or you forget your school lunch. When we forgot our school lunch, we borrowed our friend's sandwich and paid them back the next day, or borrowed 50 cents. So actually, people start talking to each other a little more. I think it's going to be good for the independence of students. And also, last thing is, these students will emerge as more well-adjusted individuals and ultimately adults. They won't be conditioned of staring at a hand. They'll be used to making eye contact. They'll be used to conversations again. Your halls are going to have noises you have not heard in years for the districts that have not gone first. And it's going to be beautiful. Even if it's arguing and fighting or whatever, it's just more real as opposed to this virtual, artificial world which our schools and students have descended into for a long time now. So I'm very optimistic about this. I want to make sure we hear from our individuals here and ask President Estrada to take it away. But I just want to thank Middletown School District for being open-minded to this conversation and getting your information in on time. Even adults sometimes are procrastinators, not just our students. And the vast, vast majority of school districts are there, and a few others need some help from us, and we'll get there. But thank you very much.
Great. Well, thank you, Governor, first for allowing us the honor of having you come to Middletown. Everything that you've already discussed in your opening remarks is exactly what we experienced here at Middletown back in 2021 when we first went to a K through 12 bell-to-bell, no cell phone policy. We kind of tore off the Band-Aid right away here, and under the leadership of Pastor John Williams, who was president at the time, along with several of our other board members who are in attendance this afternoon, they, as well as us this year, understood the challenge in trying to implement the policy very quickly, because we saw there was a need and a problem, especially here at the high school level. But I think you're going to find out through our panel discussion, both from administrators and teachers and students, the benefits of having a bell-to-bell, no cell phone policy in place, and what that does for our students to be working on task each and every day. We're going to, exactly what you said, there were growing pains along the way, including the lines that you talked about, any special emergency. But you kind of go with the flow with that, and you correct wherever you need to correct. Here we have a mantra that it's okay to fail as long as you fix what is broken and then move on from there. Your points about what our students are experiencing from a mental hygiene approach. This is our first cohort that's graduating this year that went through the COVID years. So they missed out on some of the middle school peer-to-peer communications that they enjoy now because there are no cell phones. And I'm sure Superintendent Creedon, as we discuss it with the panel this morning, I'll point out how there's a huge reduction in social media related incidents because of not having cell phones in place here. So each and every year we improve on the policy. Our students each and every year have now gotten used to it, and as Ms. Creedon told me earlier, the first couple of years it was about changing the culture. And changing the culture, we at the Board of Education last year when we were doing the Yonder pouches, expanding that into the middle schools, the first statement I made as part of the school year was to the parents, and it was to say that this is not going anywhere. So it can either be an easy transition or a hard transition, depending on the conversation you have with your student at home before school starts each and every year. So we want to thank you for your leadership at the state level for expanding this statewide. It made our job a little bit easier and kind of patted ourselves on the back saying, okay, we were ahead of the game, and we moved forward.
And you can be ambassadors to other school districts, and I encourage that, or other, teachers, your contemporaries, whether it's school board members, teachers, superintendent, principals. I think you can talk about, like I said, the growing pains. And again, it's not going to be a perfect rollout. It's just not possible. But eventually, you can tell us, or maybe someone can reflect on how long it took before it just sort of became normalized. And so,
Awesome. Yeah. So we're going to get ready in our panel discussion in a minute or so.